Hey guys, welcome back to Farm Food and Fingerspelling. Here you can see I'm working on opening some ground beef, so while I do that, I'll do some chatting. So we're doing it a little different this time. Instead of me talking you through the video, I just set this up while I was making dinner, and I'm just doing a voiceover to tell you what I did. This is maybe how I'm gonna do things, probably not, since I have to go back through 3 times and edit. But we're testing it out this time. So today we're making hamburger helper from homemade hamburger helper. I will link the description the recipe that I follow along in order to make this recipe. So here you can see we're browning the hamburger meat. I got this. This is a coated cast iron pan. It is or pot. It is not anything fancy. My mom gave it to me, and I think she said she got it from Aldi, like who knows how many years ago. So it's nothing fancy, but it lasts forever. So now it's a lot easier to use than like regular cast iron. So here's the ground beef after I browned it, and I need to get rid of some of that grease. So instead of lifting up the heavy pan and pouring it out, the grease out, straining it out, and all that jazz, instead I just use a paper towel and I wipe the spoon like kind of under the meat to get that grease out. The paper towel soaks up the grease perfectly fine, and usually it only takes about 2 sets of paper towels, like 2 wipings of paper towels in order to get all the grease. When it's full of grease, I throw it in the sink just for a minute, just until it cools off, because I don't want to melt the trash bag. Because that's how you make your husband a little bit frustrated with you. Uh, so here I am doing this, wiping off this grease with the paper towel. Because the first step to hamburger helper is obviously the hamburger meat, getting that browned. So I'm going to read off like what I'm doing as I'm doing it to you guys, and then I'll interpret the voiceover. So here's the cup of water that you put in for the pasta to cook, and then a cup of the uncooked pasta goes in, and that just goes in there with the meat because you don't really overcook ground beef. As you can see, I use the Great Value brand at Walmart of the pasta, the elbow pasta. So here this gets mixed in, and once you mix it in, it does say to cover it and simmer for 10 to 12 minutes. Yes, cover it. Don't cheat. Because when you cover it, it makes the pasta that's a little bit above the water level still cook as the same as the stuff under the water. And you'll see here that I have that lid just a little bit off center so that it'll let a little bit of steam out. While I'm cooking dinner, I usually have a couple other projects going on at the same time. So here you'll see my sourdough loaves. I am doing a stretch and fold here for 1 loaf. I now make 2 loaves at a time, and then I'll just throw one in the freezer, so that I can just warm up the oven once for 2 loaves, so that we don't have to heat up the oven in the house twice for each, like once per loaf. So I have the 2 bowls here for 2 different loaves, going for the stretch and folds of sourdough. If you guys are interested in sourdough, you can let me know, and I can do like a little bit of information on them. I'm by far not a professional. I kind of just do low maintenance sourdough, so I don't do anything complicated. So here we are after a bit. This noodles have been cooking in this water. The steam is a little bit um, blocking the view a little bit, isn't it? But I guess it still works. So we mix all this. We do want to stir it pretty regularly because otherwise the noodles will stick to the bottom of the pan if you don't stir it often, which isn't really a big deal, but you know, if you can avoid it, that would be nice. Here I am prepping for the next part. I'm getting that milk and cornstarch set up. for when it's time to do that. So it's 2 cups of milk and then a tablespoon of cornstarch. Cornstarch is a thickener, so that's going to help your pasta thicken up so that it won't be runny and everything will kind of stick together. You can't really see because it's reflected, but that's just the Great Value brand cornstarch I get from Walmart. So when you do cornstarch and you mix it in, if you stop mixing, it's going to settle to the bottom. So you mix it in a little, and then right before you pour it, mix it again so that you will get it like in the liquid and not sitting at the bottom of the cup, because it will settle out no matter how much you mix it. It'll still settle at the bottom. So make sure you mix it again, stir it again right before you pour it into the pan. And you'll feel it at the bottom, kind of being like a sludge at the bottom of the bowl when you're mixing it, and you just kind of want to get that sludge off the bottom. And again, you'll have to do it again before you mix it, or before you pour it into the pan. So you'll see here, it kind of stuck a little bit, um, which isn't a big deal. I'm just making a video, baby girl. So not quite done, so we're going to let that sit for a little bit longer. And here we're back at it. Adding in, see, as you can see, I stir it again, right? Like as I'm pouring it, I'm stirring it in there, just so that you keep that cornstarch at the top. And then you're going to mix that in. Once it's cooking, it kind of cooks into the whole thing. Apparently my son is down for sound effects this morning. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. So anyway, you mix this in. And then at this time, you also do the herbs, which you'll see me do in just a sec. Well, here I go. So the paprika is here. You do a tablespoon of that. My husband really likes paprika, so I usually do a little more than that. And then here's I think that was the garlic powder. And you'll see sometimes I measure with my hand. It's always a good idea to get the idea of what a teaspoon and a tablespoon feel like in your hand. So you can either like scoop it out in a spoon and then put it in your hand just to see what it feels like, because it's a really good way to measure things quickly when you're cooking. So I did the garlic powder and the onion powder. You can see my onion powder is a little clumped up. You can remedy that with putting a toothpick in your container. It'll help soak up some of that moisture. But this one is almost empty, so I'm just trying to like get the last of it out, basically. So that's the onion powder. What you do, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder and 2 teaspoons of onion powder. And again, it's just estimates. If you like garlic a lot, put more garlic in there. You know, not a big deal. It's up to you on those measurements, really. But this is just, I just use the recipes as a guide, not as like a strict, you have to follow it this way. And then here is our mustard powder. We're doing a teaspoon of the mustard powder. As you can tell, mine doesn't like to come out through shaker holes. So then we're mixing that in. And once you get that all good and mixed in, you just want to let it sit for, just let it cook, medium heat, low, medium low heat for it says 5 to 7 minutes. Of course, when I add my seasonings, I add the salt at the same time because I want that salt to cook into the food, not sit on top of it. So when you do your salt in your meal, like while it's cooking or at the beginning, you'll get more salt flavor infused in the whole thing, and but you'll use less salt. If you salt at the end of your dish, that's when you use more salt to get that salt flavor because it's not cooked into the food. It's just like on it. So it's always good to salt as you go. So when you do each stage, you can do just a little bit at every time. So here's the cheddar cheese we're adding. It's after this is cooked for the 5 to 7 minutes. Um, it says to use the grated cheddar cheese. I don't use grated in much of anything, but here's shredded cheddar cheese. I'm letting it cook, measuring it out a little bit. I always do more. It says a cup of cheddar cheese. I always do it more because I feel like the shredded cheese has gaps in it where they're kind of sitting on top of each other and it's not like full. So I do a little bit more. But I'm setting that up right now. So here's the simmering while I measured out the cheese. And you do want to stir this pretty often because you just, don't want to stick to the bottom. While we're here, if you guys like this style of video, let me know if you prefer this style or if you prefer the like cooking show style where I'm talking to you as I'm cooking. Because this is easier to video, obviously, um, but it's longer on the editing part, whereas the cooking show videos are harder to video but easier to edit. So let me know what you think, what your opinions are on this style versus the other style. You can comment. I would love you to comment on the video and tell me what you think. If you like this style versus the other style, the cooking show style. Um, I'd love to hear y'all's feedback and see what you find most interesting to watch. So as this is kind of cooking here and this cheese is melting, you can see on the back counter, that big bag of cheese I just pulled out was one I just bought at Sam's. I don't leave all of that fresh. So you can tell it, you can see in the back, I've separated it into smaller bags so that I can throw them in the freezer and then just pull each bag out as I need it. But yeah, that's dinner. So hamburger helper.